So I did tell a little bit about my story. I was like obsessed with ballet, but I started late. So like I was like 11 or 12 and you're supposed to start at like 6 minimum. So there was like no way I was really going to make it all the way up, but I just wanted to see how far I could go. And like it was the first time I came out of my shell because I was a very shy kid. I had ADHD and Asperger's, but I didn't know I had either. And I just like struggled socially. Hip hop was something that was part of, I wouldn't call it an escape, but like something that resonated with me and made me feel like I maybe made sense in the world.
You felt accepted.
I felt accepted. Yeah. And it wasn't like I had a way for it to like talk back to me. It was like I was listening to it. I was like an observer, and like most of my life I was like a fly on the wall, and that was just a place like, you know, I was listening to like Tribe Called Quest, Lauryn Hill, and listening to what they had to say, and I was like, this is really amazing. Like this art form is closer to the world that I want to see than the one that I'm in.
Maybe the year. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know, so it just connected with me and represented a lot, and it's something that I just had with me all the time. And then I got really involved in ballet, and I realized I was a performer. So regardless of how far I could go with it, there was something about performing that felt more me than anything else I received praise for. Like I was a pretty nerdy kid, so they're like, you can write papers, but
So gratification was important.
yeah. Yeah. And being able to connect to people, because I struggled to connect to people socially. I had to learn all my social skills from books. Like I was reading since I was like 7 or 8, like how to socialize with people, just eye contact, all that stuff. So all of this is all memorized. And
Very
theoretical.
Formulaic.
Yeah, formulaic. And just, you know, to get people to stop picking on me at the very least. And then when it came to performing, it's like the formula's all there. Like you know what you're supposed to do when you're on a stage. And people know what they want from you, and you can give it to them. And in most social interactions, it's this like trying to tease it out the whole time, and I don't pick up all the signals. And like when I'm on stage, people can see me. And like I just wanted to be seen. I think that's like the most important thing to me, is to connect to other people so that they know I see them too, because I've been watching like my whole life, but not really having a way to reach out to other people. So performing was my way of reaching out to other people. Sorry, it's like really emotional for me. So ballet was like the first way I thought I could ever do it, and like getting to do it with music, and especially through hip hop and through something lyrical, because I did have a love of words. I could apply all the things I learned about being on stage in terms of physical presence, and I could also be part of something that I always believed in.
And you find a community.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, this is the least shy I've ever been in my life, but it's also like, I don't know where it's going to go next. That's like the scary part of it all. It's like kind of like jumping into a void, and I don't know where it's going to go. But like the most important thing to me is that like I can connect to other people now. And
Feel supported.
yeah, it just took a lot to get to that point, and to have a way to not be isolated, basically. Like, and that's by being an artist. So, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, and just like, I like being able to take all the experiences I had in the arts and channel it in a new direction. Like the way I hear music is
The structure and the discipline of it.
yeah, structure, the discipline, the way I relate to music, the way I think music should be expressed is like in my body. So like I just move it to my voice instead, and it's really fun. It's like it all is just additive, and now I feel like, well, there's nobody who has this experience as far as I know. Like so
Did ballet gave you tools that you use with hip hop and
Yeah.
vice versa?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It and like I don't know, like I'd like to be somebody who contributes to the arts in a broader way, like kind of a Renaissance woman, especially because there's not a lot of women that have reached that position where like Jordan Peele is a really big inspiration for me. Like Childish Gambino, people that like do multiple.
Multi-creative.
Yeah,
Creatives,
yeah, just
as
creatives.
opposed to an artist.
Yeah,
Creative.
exactly. And it's like no art that you do is more important than the other one. It's just this universe in your head, and you're the one with the key, and you want to give it to other people because it's not fair that it's just in your head. I didn't put it there. I have no idea why it's there, and I feel like the best thing I could give to the world is access to that, and see if they can make sense of it, because I don't know. Like, it's just there, and
But
it's
also, you're not the only person, right? Like, there are people who have feel that, or
yeah.
have gone through that, or want to see what it is that you're seeing.
Exactly, and it
So
might
just finding them.
like validate the world in their head too. Like I think we all have like a little Narnia situation, and like just your creativity, the way that you blend together ideas, like you synthesize information in a way that nobody else does, and it's important for us to hear what you see, like what this all means to you, because otherwise we're not going to be able to like
Invisible.
yeah, you're invisible, and your perspective is lost, and like we don't have, it's like trying to see a sphere from all directions and everyone's standing at a different point, and if we don't hear from you, that's a blank empty void, and we don't know what's there, we don't know what we're looking at.
Start bringing that to a close.
Yeah, I'm a faucet, just
You know, my son once said he was hyper emotional when he was like younger.
So let's switch to you, the listener.
Yeah.
So when you felt it the most.
I just appreciate you being so vulnerable and just open with your truth. I think just hearing it, I think when people share their truth, it's right. Mic me up. I think when people just share their truth, it's always a powerful thing, and I think that like hip hop is such a perfect vehicle to do that, and I can see that and feel that within you. And I also felt a lot when you're talking about being a multidisciplinary creative situation. I think that's like inspiring, because I think, society tends to put us in boxes, you know what I'm saying? We put ourselves in boxes, you know what I mean? So to keep, even, you might have your primary vehicle to push to push your perspective, but I think if you can do one thing, you can do anything else, as long as you put the effort and the time and the energy into it. And like, you're already coming into this as a dancer, so approaching hip hop as a dancer, you're gonna have a totally different perspective than somebody that came up just rapping or whatever. It's like you bring your own fresh, unique voice to it. And so I think when you're open with your truth, just sharing it like you did now, it means that the music is going to speak in the same way. So I just appreciate the vulnerability and just you being able to share your truth in such a way that I think is rare. And I think a lot of people are afraid to show that kind of emotion, you know what I mean? But because you can, I think people are going to like really connect with your story and with your music and what you have to say. I think is like, that really resonates, you know what I mean? So I think I appreciate that I could see that and feel that from you, for sure.
You and me know each other, so I think I have a little bit more of a profound appreciation for your story and your intentions. It's clear to see your passion. It's clear to see how deeply you feel about where you're coming from, your position in terms of what you're looking for and what you want. It was really refreshing and really magical to see that human moment, that the humanity of it. And your story is extremely compelling, and I think that you're now getting into a space of really owning it. And once you have that ownership of it and that autonomy of it, it's going to be a lot more magical to tell it, and you find ways to tell it very very eloquently, and that's gonna grow. So it was really cool to watch that and to see like almost a breakthrough,
Last
Yeah.
part, speaker, you got 30 seconds. What are you taking away? What do you want to remember from this?
I think that, like, I've spent a lot of time feeling misunderstood. So to feel like I can be understood and, like, connect to other people just by showing who I am is really helpful for me. Like, I think I tried to not hide myself, but just, like, tried to do things right so that I could not get picked on or not get, ostracized or whatever. And it's like I'm able to take that experience and turn it into something that other people relate to, and that's valuable. Like, that's so it's kind of like I'm not like pitying myself anymore. I'm just like, that was worthwhile, because it has a life beyond that. Yeah. I don't know if I made sense. Okay. Yeah. Am I out of time? No. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. I'm good.
I yield my time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Why else do you yield your time?
I think it's funny that we're just having that natural conversation. My whole thing with the music and just what's important to me is that progression, ascension, transcendence. We're trying to create new realities, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we get told this one thing, we get told, we get that hammered into our heads, but it's like all the great things that people have done, the things that inspire humanity, were people that weren't afraid to push back and to push forward and to be like, this isn't all there is. We can do more. We can do better. You know what I mean? And I've always appreciated the political aspect of hip hop in that sense. You know what I mean? And listening to a lot of artists like, Immortal Technique, Tribe Called Quest, Talib Kweli, most like all that whole vein in music was like always really inspiring. And, that to have that and to use your art as a vehicle to do that, that's what really got me inspired, because I was always writing, I was always taking notes, I was always like a creative kid. I did music when I was young, and we moved around a lot, so I was kind of always on the outside looking in. I was always an observer. Started writing poetry to like process, I guess, what I was seeing, what I was, what I felt, because when you move around a lot, it can be very isolating. Like, I learned to make friends and all that for sure, but there's always going to be a sense of like you're not from there, you know what I mean? So you're always going to have at least one foot outside. So it helped, art and music helped me kind of process that. And then, it's not like I really knew a lot of producers or anything, so I was just doing poetry. I was just doing, journalism and writing and just trying to go off in that route, because I thought that was, journalism was always about holding people accountable, holding the powers that be accountable. And like hip hop, like Chuck D said, that's like this journalism for the street, you know what I'm saying? So it just made sense for me to start getting into it more. And when I went off to college, I actually ended up linking with producers, and so I had a radio show, and things started moving in that direction. So I was able to kind of at least see what the business aspect looked like. I think we were kind of young, people were immature, people were messing around with money. Like, we could have done something. We won like Group of the Year for like that, for the state and shit. And so it was cool. It was like an accomplishment, but we didn't really have the the infrastructure and the maturity and the wherewithal to move forward. And then when like I said before, what really was a turning point for me is when I started to do the teaching artist work and giving back and being outside of myself and like showing kids like what hip hop did for me. Like, I'm gonna show I can help bring that to the youth. You know what I'm saying? And we can help influence the culture, and we can help move society forward, because the youth are the future. You know what I mean? So if a lot of times when they're, especially the youth we were working with, it's low income, it's at risk, it's people, kids that, hip hop is always going to call to, is always going to, influence. So I think to help not even step in, is just channel the energy in a more positive direction, you know what I'm saying? And showing them like, look, there are other avenues, just by us being there in the room and showing them like, wow, like there's we in the hood, but there's a studio right there I go to for free. Like, I'm going to do that rather than be out in the street, you know what I'm saying? So once I saw like not only the impact I could have through the music that I'm making, but also reaching out to the community and educating and lifting them up, because when I lift my community up, I lift myself up.
Yeah, and as an artist, like that process of both lifting up other people and also, lifting up other people, then also like connecting with them and getting your message out there. Do you feel like that's the process of maturing as an artist, where you finally connect those two?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like finding your voice more. What's going to sound right coming from you, you know what I'm saying? Because you might believe something, but you want to say it in the most concise, tightest way possible, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to get it misunderstood. So I feel like the more that I'm explaining to others, and the more I'm helping out my community, it's like I'm really teaching myself as I'm teaching them, and I'm learning from them just as much, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, I think that when you start to be outside of yourself, and especially like you're in this mentorship role, so to speak, it's like it forces you to step up to the table and be more of like a role model, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm a perfect person, or not that I'm trying to put myself as on some altar or be exalted, but it's just like, all right, now I got to step up and really like walk the walk, talk the talk.
And being a role
I love the term that you had, creating new realities. I think that is like the underlying motivation that you have, or that's what I'm gathering, is that that's your underlying motivation. That your message, or at least your presence, is social and political in nature. Like that's the route that you're choosing and you're forging for yourself, and you're doing that through your education work. You're doing that through just, when you said that you were an outsider looking in, and that allowed you to observe and reflect, I think that was key. I saw like somewhat, not necessarily an excitement in that, but I saw that there was a deep resonance as you said that. Talking about your influences and talking about, well, when I was hearing about your influences, I heard less about music and more about like experiences, like just going to college and tapping in with the people that you tapped into, and then how that evolved into what you currently do now, and teaching artistry and all of those things is something that I could very much relate to. But and considering just like where we are politically in this country and where we are socially, I think that's a story that's very powerful. And the way that the way you're framing your story with those kind of like key points, for me, when I was listening to it, I thought was really, it stood out more. Like the whole new realities, being an observer, how you connected hip hop and writing songs to journalism, right? And journalism being a vehicle to preserve our democracy.
I understand your music is telling stories that need to be told, and you using your perspective to bring other people into that world. And I'm anticipate hearing that in your music, which is really exciting. Like I never really thought about music as like a journalistic exercise, but it can be, and it can be like writing a history book that needs to be written, and like educating people about reality so they can imagine a better reality, so they're not just going off the wrong premise because the media doesn't tell these stories. Like it's really cool. Like I feel like what I get about you is that like you're not a storyteller like in a fictional way, you're like a factual storyteller, and that's what I would expect it's got to be in your music. Like, and I'm really excited to hear it. Yeah.
Let's go Medina the mic. So what do you want to take away from this? What stood out?
Like I just appreciate hearing the feedback, for sure, and like I think tapping into the storyteller thing that resonated with you, that you felt that like that's definitely that's kind of always naturally what I've gravitated to in the writing style, and just it's just affirming to like, that's something that I feel like hip hop is kind of moved away from, is the storytelling aspect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're trying to keep that alive, and at the same time it's like we're trying to do it in a new and authentic way at the same. So I appreciate just being able to like have that reflected back at me, and for you to like affirm that, I think was cool. And that just that through that, through storytelling, we can expose people to new things. That's how we create the new realities, because in order to do that, people have to be able to see it and feel it and experience it. And I think like that's what we're trying to do, is to get people to feel and experience and like understand what reality is.